All right, this is a good week. This is the week that you turn in your hard news story, your first written assignment. And there's a lot of work that had to go into this. You had to think of the story idea. You had to go do some research on the topic. You had to actually go out there and cover the event, take notes, talk to people, then put all that information down and put it into actual writing. This week you're going to learn AP style, so you're going to have to edit for AP style. It's a lot of work that goes into this, but hopefully you'll be happy with your final product. And of course, it's a learning experience. This first one, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and that's okay. We're going to learn from these mistakes, and you're going to have a few more stories, and each one you'll see will get a little better and better. So the first one is always the hardest one. Congratulations, you're almost done with it. You've almost gotten that out of the way. But this is a good moment to say, if you haven't messaged me, most of you have, but if you haven't messaged me to let me know what it is that you're going to actually go and write your first story about, you need to do that immediately because I have to give it approval. So you have to do that immediately. Message me where it is that what you want to do, and I will write you back and let you know yes, no, or I just have a few questions about it, and then you're off to do your first story. So that, as you know, is due by the end of the week. Let's talk about what else is going to be due for this week. This week's going to be a little different than your other weeks to a degree. So you're not going to be using the book at all this week. You're going to be learning something we call AP style. It stands for Associated Press style. AP style is like the gold standard when it comes to stylistic editing that you would do as a journalist or working in the media. So what I mean by that is, in high school you were probably used to using MLA, right? MLA style or APA style, you might have heard. Those are certain kind of styles of writing. AP style, again, don't confuse it with APA. It's just AP style, stands for Associated Press style. It's the style that journalists and people in the media use. And there's some just weird rules. I'm going to go over a few of them in a minute. There's just some weird rules. There's some things that don't exactly make sense, but it's the style that's been adopted. Point being, the reason why is that you can use this style. If you go to any newsroom, you already know the style. So you can just sit down. You don't have to learn a whole new style. You use this style. If you're working in PR, so you're sending something called a news release, which you've probably read about in the book already. You write it in AP style, so the journalist doesn't have to make that many changes to it. It's kind of like a unified language that everybody speaks, so you can transition from one job or from one place to another, and everybody's on the same page, so to speak. So that's why we're learning AP style. AP style, I don't have my book with me right here, but it's like this thick, right? There's a lot to do. There's a lot with AP style. We're just learning some of the very basics. I just wanted to expose you to it, and some of the things that you're going to be using in your story, most commonly used in AP style. That's what I'm exposing you to this week. So I'm not expecting you to be AP experts by the end of this week. It's impossible. I still learn a little bit about AP every single time I use it. But I am, trying to get you used to using that style and at least getting you some exposure to it. So we're going to learn a little bit about AP style. I'm going to go over that. You're going to have an AP quiz and an exercise that you'll have to do. And then, of course, you're going to have to finish your hard news story. And a part of that is that you're going to have to edit it for AP style. So you're going to be doing a lot of AP this week. And then, of course, continue to read a few news stories each day. So let's go into AP style. So like I said, you're not going to be using your book. Instead, I have two links for you. This link is from another site that I have, and I just made a down and dirty AP style AP page here on this website. So it just gives you some of the very basics that you're going to need to get this assignment, and what I'm going to look for, are you applying it in your writing? So this is what I'm looking for when I'm talking to AP. I also have another link that I included on the top here. This gives you a little bit more, gives you some information about Associated Press style, why it's used, the introduction to it, and then it also gives you more than I gave you on my webpage. Still not all AP style, but it gives you way more and goes into more detail. So the first thing I would like you to do before you even take a look at mine is read at least on this link the introduction, the purpose, and then you don't have to read all of this talking about what you do with AP style, how you actually format things, because a lot of that you're going to be learning when you do the assignment and when you take a look at what I've written here. But I do want you to at least get a little bit more exposure to it. So take a look at this intro here, and then take a look at some of the examples I give. And I'm going to give a few right here. I'm going to verbally tell you, even though it's written too. So for example, one thing with AP style is names. You're going to talk about somebody. So let's say you're talking about John Smith. You're interviewing and John Smith is in your story. The first time you reference that person, you're going to say, John Smith is a man who lives in Connecticut. After that, every time you say his name, you're only using the last name. So John Smith is a person that lives in Connecticut. Smith likes to go shopping on the weekends. Smith also is an avid fisherman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So you're only using last name. You're not putting Mr. in front of it. You're not, even if he's a doctor, you're not putting doctor every time. It's not Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith. It's just the last name. I give you my example here. Adam Chiara, a professor at UHart, taught classes in AP style. Chiara knew his students would dislike him for it, right? So then I only using my last name. I don't say Professor Chiara. I'm not saying Adam. It's just Chiara. Okay. We've got titles. This is one that throws a lot of people off. Titles, if it shows up before the name, you're going to be using a capital letter. If it shows up after, it's lowercase. So for example, Professor Adam Chiara is considering running for president. Chiara has only been a professor. He has never been a governor or the president. Notice that even though I'm talking about me being a professor, it's lowercase after. If I have anything before my title, so if I change the sentence around, I said, Chiara's only been professor, he has never been governor or president, though Professor Chiara likes politics, then it would be a capital P, right? So if you basically, the rule you need to remember is if you have a title in front of the person's name, it's capital. If you have the title after, or you're just talking about his title somewhere else in that sentence, and it's not, and there's not no name after it, it's lowercase. All right. I'm not going to do all of these. I'm just kind of pointing out some of the ones that I want you to start to at least be aware of. And a lot of this is just going to be practice. You're not going to memorize this just hearing me once, but this is just so you kind of understand where you're going with this. Commas, periods, and commas go inside quotation marks. So for example, taking a look here, this challenges the real deal. I have a comma inside my quotation mark because my sentence continued, Chiara said. So I don't have a period here because if I had a period here, this would have to be a new sentence. But this is continuing the sentence. So this challenges the real deal. My comma's with inside my quotation marks. He said that it's not the time that's the problem. It's hard for me to get up early in the morning. This is the end of my sentence, so there's a period in there. Now I could start a new sentence right after this too. I could say, it's hard for me to get up early in the morning, in quotation marks. He also doesn't like the nights, right? I would still keep this period here because it's a new sentence. Again, what you need to know from this is all punctuation, commas and quotes, commas and periods go inside the quotation mark. You shouldn't have a period or a comma outside this quotation mark. If there's words that are continuing a sentence, there's a comma in there. If it's the end of the sentence, it's a period. Those are the main things you need to know. Location, this one throws people off a lot. If you have, first of all, Connecticut is not written CT. It's written this way, CONN. And if you look here, it's not just Connecticut. There's a bunch of states that are written a little differently than you would expect. So here's the state abbreviation, and then this is how you actually write it in AP style. I'm sorry, this is AP style. This is straight state abbreviation. So you see Connecticut as CON. Colorado, people are used to using CO. It's COLO. So there's a few different stylistic things. So Connecticut's the one you're mostly going to be using, maybe Massachusetts or New York, depending on where you're going or who you're interviewing. But you're going to write it out the way that AP style tells you, and for Connecticut, it's like this. So you do it this way when you have a city or town in front of it. So if I say he was born in Hartford, Connecticut, it's Hartford, comma, CONN, right? Then I have a period at the end. You always have the period at the end of it. Because the sentence is continuing, I put a comma. So it's a period, comma. It looks like this. Again, he was born in Hartford, Connecticut, comma after Hartford, period after con, comma, where he still lives today. He wants to move to Danbury, Connecticut. Again, I have another town in front of it, so it's CONN, period, and I end the sentence. Here's where people get thrown off. If you're just mentioning the state and there's no city or town in front of it, you spell it out. So if you were to say, he lives in Connecticut, you don't write CONN because there's no city or town in front of it. He lives in Connecticut. So let's take this sentence again. He was born in Hartford, Connecticut, where he still lives today. This is all written right. Now if I say, he wants to move outside of Connecticut, though. Let's say I change the sentence to that. Then I'm writing out Connecticut because there's no town or city in front of it. I know it's a lot. It can be confusing. A lot of it's just going to be practice. All right, I'm not going to go over these because I think they're pretty self-explanatory. But how you write dates, how you write numbers, how you write time, how you write money, and then headlines for your story. Remember, your headline is not your lead. It's not your first sentence of your story. It's the headline that's above. So it would be like my headline of this is AP style, right? So that's what a headline is. That's what the rest of this guide will tell you. And then, of course, like I said, this goes into much more explanation. So if you see something on here that you're a little confused about, you could always take a look at this link and maybe read about it a little bit more, and it will give you more of an understanding. So let's talk about how you're actually going to learn AP style, because you're not going to learn it just from listening to me for the last 10 minutes. I have two things here. Oh, you know what? Sorry, this is not part of the video. I just want to check something really quickly. Bear with me, class. Sorry about this. Okay, I have not made this in the homework. I'm going to put this in the homework file too. But here's what you're going to have. You have fix the AP style. Oh, I'm sorry. This is it. So this is the quiz, right? You have an AP style quiz. Of course, in a way, it's open book because you're going to be able to look at your notes, and I want you to. I don't want you to try to do this off memory. Take a look at my 2 links that I have here while you take this quiz, right? So you're going to take this AP style quiz using my notes specifically. This is what's probably going to be the easiest for you to understand, and then also this. And part of this quiz is not just for a grade, which I know that is, what you're taking a quiz for, but I want you to also learn by doing this quiz. That's why I'm giving you a lot of time for this quiz. I want you to actually go back and really make sure that you understand what you're doing. So I'm not timing it. It's not a timed quiz. It's for you to be able to, you have to do it on one sitting. So you're going to sit down and you have to take the quiz at one sitting, but I'm not timing it. In other words, I want you to have the time to really look up the answer and make sure you understand it before you submit it. So this is helping you to learn it. So you have a quiz. You also have an exercise, fix the AP mistakes. So doing that exercise is going to help you because I'm going to give you feedback after that for the following weeks, right? So the exercise is fixing the AP mistakes. In fact, let me show you what it looks like. It's going to be a document that looks like this. You're going to have to fix the mistakes. I give you the instructions when you take a look at the actual assignment, but you're fixing AP mistakes. I'll make a note for you right now. So if you're watching this video, it's going to save you a lot of time. Not all of these have mistakes. There's at least one sentence where there are no AP mistakes. So it's a little tricky like that, but take your time, really edit for AP. What you're also going to be doing is before you turn in your hard news story, you have to edit your hard news story for AP style. So go back anytime you have a title, anytime you have a name, anytime you have numbers, time, make sure that it's AP that is matching AP style. I'm not going to grade AP as hard on this first assignment. I will grade it harder moving on, but I want you to at least try to make an effort in this first assignment to get your AP style in there. In the future assignments, yes, there's going to be something I'm definitely looking at. In this one, I just want you to start getting used to it. All that said, this is going to take you time this week. This is not something you're just going to be able to brush by. AP style is very difficult. It's going to take you a lot of time, a lot of cross-referencing, but this is the practice week. The stronger of a foundation you build now for learning AP style, the easier it's going to get for the semester, and the easier it's going to make other assignments. If you really don't take it seriously now, each future assignment is going to get harder and harder because AP style is going to become more and more of a part of it, and you're not going to have that foundation. So take the time this week to really learn it. If you have questions, something you really just don't understand, you want clarification, message me, and I'd be happy to go back and forth because in an in-person class, I do a lot of that. We have to go back and forth, and I have to try to help students out because it is a difficult subject to understand. So I know we don't have that luxury, but I can help you out one-on-one through messages, and if we have to find a time to Skype or something, I can walk through some of your issues. So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is, don't sit there in a box, feel like there's no one there to help you with this because it is hard. I'm here to help you. You just got to let me know. If I don't know that you're struggling, I won't be able to help. But that's what we got. And again, most importantly, hard news story is due by the end of this week. So get that in before Monday. And again, I'll be lenient on a lot of stuff in here. This first one is the learning assignment. It's to get better, but you have to make the effort. You have to do the AP style. and you have to also apply the other lessons we've been learning, not only from the videos, but from the book. Even things that might not have been on the quiz, are you trying to apply it in your actual writing? And I'll see that. Any questions, though, any general questions, please message me. But I'm looking forward to reading those first stories.